I was mopping the marble hallway outside the principal's office at Hellenic Academy when I heard the crying. The private Greek-American school in Astoria, Queens, where tuition cost more than my annual salary, where I was invisible, just the cleaning lady. But this crying was different. This was fear. 3 boys in designer uniforms surrounded one smaller kid, backed against lockers, adorned with Greek flag stickers. "Your dad's a criminal," the tallest sneered in perfect English tinged with Greek accent. "Everyone knows the Stavros family are thieves." The small boy's lip trembled. He clutched a blue evil eye charm on his backpack, 7 years old. Dark curls, eyes too serious for his age. That's when I dropped my mop and changed everything. Enough. My voice echoed off the walls decorated with Ionic columns and Greek key patterns. The boys turned, surprised anyone noticed, surprised anyone cared. "This doesn't concern you," the leader said. 12 years old with his father's entitlement already perfected. "It concerns me when I witness bullying on school property. I wasn't supposed to interfere. Cleaning staff, stay invisible. But I had a daughter once. Before the miscarriage. Before my marriage to David became a tomb of silence and separate bedrooms. This boy needed someone. We weren't. Leave. Now. Or I'm calling Mrs. Papadopoulos." The principal's name carried weight. They left, muttering threats in mixed English and Greek. The small boy looked up at me with eyes dark as Kalamata olives. "Uforisto," he whispered. "Thank you. What's your name, sweetheart?" "Andreas, but everyone calls me Andre." I crouched to his level, my cheap uniform knee scraping tile that cost more per square foot than my monthly rent. The chemical smell of floor cleaner clung to my hands. Lemon-scented, cheap. "Andre, those boys are cowards. Don't let them make you feel small." He nodded, but didn't believe me. Kids never do. His small fingers worried the blue evil eye charm. Click, click, click against the metal zipper. "Want me to walk you somewhere safe? My driver's waiting outside." "But, Faristo, no one ever." He touched the charm again. "My yaya says good people are rare. You're good people." He smiled, then left. The hallway felt emptier after he was gone. Just me and the half-dried mop water puddled on expensive marble. I returned to my cleaning cart, hands shaking. Stupid. I'd probably get written up. Confronting students? Not my job. My phone buzzed. Text from David. "Working late again. Don't wait up." 5th time this month. Same message. Same nothing feeling in my chest. We'd been married 8 years. College sweethearts. He was steady, reliable, boring. God, when had he become so boring? My phone buzzed again. "Unknown number. I understand my son had an encounter today. I would like to thank you personally. Nikos Stavros." My stomach dropped. Stavros. Everyone in Astoria knew that name. The shipping empire. The restaurants. The whispers about family business that had nothing to do with ships. The Greek Mafia. The next morning, Mrs. Papadopoulos herself appeared at my supply closet. The principal never spoke to cleaning staff. "Elena, you have a visitor. Front office." Now, my heart sank. I was fired. I'd crossed a line. I followed her through hallways. I'd cleaned for 3 years. Past trophy cases and photos of graduates who became doctors, lawyers, businessmen. None who became cleaning ladies, married to accountants, living paycheck to paycheck. The front office, waiting area smelled of coffee and fresh flowers, expensive flowers, stargazer lilies, the kind that cost $40 a stem. One man stood by the window. He turned when I entered, 6'3", tailored suit in charcoal gray that probably cost $5,000, dark hair, silvering at temples, face like a Greek statue, all sharp angles and aristocratic features, wedding ring, finger bare, but a thick gold signet ring on his right hand, bearing a family crest. I didn't recognize. "Mrs. Torres." Not a question. He already knew my name. His voice was deep, accented, commanding. The kind of voice that expected obedience and received it. It vibrated through the small space, made the air feel thicker. "I'm Nikos Stavros. Andreas's father." He extended his hand. I shook it. His grip was warm, engulfing my entire hand. Calloused despite the expensive suit, the scent of his cologne hit me, cedar and sea salt. and something darker. Leather, tobacco, old money. I wanted to thank you for defending my son yesterday. It was nothing. Anyone would. No, he interrupted with quiet intensity. Anyone wouldn't. Most people cross the street when they see my family name. They don't defend children with that name. He studied me with eyes, the color of Aegean water, cataloging everything. The frayed collar of my uniform, the discount wedding ring, the exhaustion I wore like a second skin. My son came home yesterday and spoke more than he has in months. He told me about the woman who stood up for him, who wasn't afraid. I was afraid, I admitted before I could stop myself. But he needed help. Something shifted in his expression. Respect. Curiosity. Something else I couldn't name. Andreas doesn't trust easily. His mother passed when he was 3, car accident on the Hutchinson. Since then, he's been withdrawn. I'm so sorry. It was 5 years ago. No emotion, just facts delivered with the control of someone who'd mastered grief. But he asks about you, the kind lady who helped him. Mrs. Papadopoulos hovered nearby, nervous energy radiating. She'd never been nervous around parents before. Her hands twisted a tissue, shredding it slowly. I'd like to offer you a position, Nikos said. Andreas needs someone. Someone kind. Someone brave. I'm not a teacher. I know what you are. You're exactly what he needs. He withdrew an envelope from his jacket. Heavy cream paper. The kind you couldn't buy at Staples. $20 per hour. 4 hours after school. 3 days per week. Help with homework, keep him company while I'm at the office. I blinked. $20 an hour was more than double what I made cleaning. I'd have to talk to my husband. That flicker again in his eyes. Of course. Take the evening. Here's my card. Heavy cardstock. Embossed gold lettering. Just a name and phone number. No company. No title. The paper felt expensive. Textured. Probably Italian. One more thing. He stepped closer. Close enough. I could smell his cologne again, that cedar and salt, mixed with the faint, bitter scent of Greek coffee on his breath. Those boys who harassed Andreas, their families have been informed. It won't happen again. The way he said informed made my skin prickle. You didn't have to. Yes, I did. Steel beneath the polished exterior. No one touches what's mine. Not my son. Not anyone under my protection. Under his protection. I wasn't sure if that was a promise or a threat. That evening I told David about the job offer over microwaved leftovers. The apartment smelled like old grease and disappointment. He barely looked up from his laptop. Sure, whatever. We could use the money. Not, are you sure that's safe? Not, the Stavros family has a reputation. Just, whatever. I stared at my husband of 8 years, sitting in our cramped apartment in Sunnyside, eating leftover gyros from the cheap place on Ditmars, the aluminum container still warm from the microwave, tzatziki sauce congealed at the edges. I felt absolutely nothing. When had we stopped being partners and become roommates who sometimes had obligatory sex on Saturday nights? I called the number on the card. Nikos answered on the second ring. Mrs. Torres, I'll take the position. When do I start? Tomorrow. I'll send a car at 3 p.m. And Elena? He'd never used my first name before. It sounded different in his accent, almost musical. The way he rolled the R slightly. Thank you for seeing my son when others looked away. The call ended. I sat in our tiny living room, cardstock heavy in my hand, still smelling faintly of his cologne, and wondered what I'd just agreed to. The car that arrived at Hellenic Academy wasn't a minivan or sedan. It was a black Mercedes S-Class, with tinted windows and a driver who looked like he bench-pressed small buildings for fun. Mrs. Torres, he opened the rear door without smiling. I'm Stavros, head of Mr. Stavros's security. Stavros, same last name as Nikos. Family? I asked, as I slid into leather seats that smelled like wealth. Real leather, not the synthetic stuff in my Honda. This was buttery soft, warm from the sun, with that particular rich scent that screamed money. Cousin. Third, removed. He pulled into traffic with the confidence of someone who knew other cars would move. You'll meet the family soon enough. Greeks. We keep everything close. The drive should have taken 20 minutes. We arrived in 12. Nikos's house wasn't in Astoria with the other Greek families. It was in Forest Hills Gardens. the wealthy enclave where old money whispered behind iron gates and manicured hedges. The house was a Mediterranean revival mansion, white stucco, terracotta roof, gardens with olive trees and jasmine climbing trellises. The scent hit me as I stepped from the car, jasmine and rosemary and something sweet I couldn't name. Honeysuckle, maybe. A fountain in the circular drive, featuring a marble statue that looked genuinely ancient. Water splashed softly. Musical. This wasn't rich. This was generational wealth. Or criminal enterprise. Probably both. Welcome. An older woman appeared at the door. 60-something. Elegant in black dress and pearls. Silver hair in an immaculate bun. She smelled like vanilla and cinnamon. Homemade cookies. Probably. I'm Fea Maria, the housekeeper. But please call me Maria. Her English carried the thick accent of someone who'd immigrated later in life. The interior stole my breath. Marble floors, cool even through my shoes, soaring ceilings with crown molding. Artwork that belonged in museums. I recognized a Picasso, or at least a very good fake. But among the expensive art, children's drawings hung in gilded frames, stick figures, and crayon suns. Andreas's name, in the corner of each one. The house smelled like lemon polish and old books and something cooking. Garlic and oregano, real food. Someone's home. Mr. Stavros is in his study, Maria said. But Andreas is in the library. He's been asking about you all day. The library was a 2-story room lined with books in Greek, English, and what I thought might be Russian. A rolling ladder, leather chairs, windows overlooking gardens, where a pool glittered in afternoon sun. It smelled like old paper and leather binding, that particular scent of expensive books. Nothing like the public library smell I knew. Andreas sat at a child-sized table, schoolbooks spread before him, chewing his pencil with fierce concentration. His Comboloi worry beads, blue and white, child-sized, lay beside his math worksheet. Click, 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 when his fingers moved. Andreas, I said softly. His head shot up, his serious little face transformed with a smile. You came, Baba said you would, but I wasn't sure. Of course I came. We have a deal, right? He nodded enthusiastically, gesturing to the homework. I have math. I hate math. Everyone hates math. But we'll figure it out together. We worked for an hour. He was smart, attentive, asked questions that showed real curiosity, but there was a guardedness to him. Like he'd been hurt and hadn't forgotten. His small fingers kept finding the Comboloi. Sliding beads. An old habit. Soothing. Can I ask you something? He looked up from his worksheet. Anything. Why did you help me? When those boys... You didn't have to. My heart cracked a little. Because everyone deserves someone in their corner. And you seem like a pretty great kid. My Baba says that too. But most people don't see it. They just see... He gestured vaguely. The family business. What is your father's business? Shipping. Import, export. Boring stuff. But something in his eyes said he knew it wasn't just shipping. Well, I see a smart kid who's good at drawing and needs help with fractions. That's all that matters to me. Andreas smiled again. Real this time. I'm glad you're here. He picked up his Comboloi. Slid 3 beads. Left. Right. Left. The motion calmed him visibly. Nikos appeared in the doorway an hour later. Still in his suit, but tie loosened, top button undone. He smelled like the city exhaust and concrete, and that cedar cologne underneath. He looked human, less like a marble statue. How was your first session? Great. Andreas is wonderful. Good. He crossed to his son, switched to rapid Greek. Andreas responded, animated in ways I hadn't seen at school. His hands moved, the Comboloi forgotten on the table. Then Nikos turned to me, slipping back to English. Maria prepared dinner. I'd like you to join us. Oh, I should get home. I insist. Not angry, but absolute. You're working through dinner time. It's only fair. Dinner was in a formal dining room that sat 16. We used one end. Maria served moussaka that smelled like heaven. Cinnamon and lamb and bechamel. Greek salad with feta that melted on my tongue. Sharp, salty, creamy, baklava dripping with honey that stuck to my fingers. Food I couldn't afford, in a room I could never belong to. Nikos watched me eat. You don't like it? It's incredible. I'm just not used to this. What are you used to? Leftover takeout. When we remember to eat. We? My husband and I. Something tightened in his expression. He doesn't cook for you. He works a lot. And I'm always tired after cleaning. We don't. We manage. Manage. He said it like a curse in Greek. A wife shouldn't have to manage. She should be cared for. Heat crept up my neck. This felt dangerous. Too personal. The baklava was still on my plate. Sweet. Sticky. I licked honey from my thumb without thinking. His eyes followed the movement. Darkened. I stopped. Embarrassed. After dinner, Stavros, the security cousin, drove me home. David was already asleep. Or pretending to be. I found a text on my phone from earlier. Dinner with clients. 8 already. He hadn't asked about my new job. Hadn't asked about my day. Just nothing. I stood in our tiny bathroom, staring at my reflection. 32 years old. Exhausted. Wearing a wedding ring that felt heavier every day. The bathroom smelled like mildew and cheap air freshener. Tropical breeze. Fake. I could still taste honey on my lips. Still smell cedar and salt. When had we become strangers? The second week, Nikos walked into the library while Andreas and I were reading The Odyssey together. He's reading Homer. Surprise in his voice. He asked. About Greek myths. I found this children's version. Nikos sat in the leather chair opposite us. The leather creaked under his weight. Expensive sound. He smelled like coffee tonight. Greek coffee. Bitter and strong. He listened as I read about Odysseus's journey home. About clever Penelope waiting. About loyalty and love surviving impossible odds. Andreas fell asleep against my shoulder. His breath soft and even. The kombuloy still in his hand. When I glanced up, Nikos was watching me. Not Andreas. Me. Our eyes met. Something electric passed between us. The air felt thicker. Charged. I looked away first, heart hammering. That night, Nikos walked me to the car. Just us. The garden smelled like night-blooming jasmine. Sweet, almost overwhelming. Elena. First time he'd used my name since the phone call. Thank you for bringing life back to my son. Our home has been empty since Sophia died. Your wife? Yes. She was everything when she left us. I focused on business, on survival. I forgot how to live. He paused. The kombuloy appeared in his hand. Blue glass beads. Click, click, until Andreas came home talking about the brave woman who defended him. We stood too close in the driveway. I should step back. Should maintain professional distance. I didn't move. Your husband, he said quietly. The beads stopped clicking. Does he know how extraordinary you are? The question stole my breath. I should go. My voice barely worked. Yes, you should. But he didn't move either. Finally, Stavros cleared his throat from the driver's seat. The spell broke. I got in the car. But I felt Nikos's eyes on me until we turned onto the street. And I knew I was in terrible danger. Not from him. From how much I wanted him to look at me like that again. 3 weeks became 6. 6 became 2 months. I'd become part of the Stavros household in ways I never intended. Andreas and I had our routine. School pickup at 3 p.m. Homework in the library that always smelled like lemon polish and old books. Reading Greek myths together. He'd started calling me Thea Elena, Aunt Elena, with Nikos's permission. The staff treated me with increasing warmth. Maria taught me to make spanakopita on Thursdays. My hands learned to brush phyllo with melted butter. Thin layers, delicate. The butter pooling golden. The kitchen would fill with the smell of baking spinach and feta. Savory. Rich. Stavros, the security cousin, nodded respectfully when we passed. Even Yaya Eleni, Nikos's formidable grandmother, who lived in the guest house, approved. You have good eyes, she told me in heavily accented English, grasping my hand with surprising strength. Her skin was paper thin, soft. She smelled like rosewater and mothballs. You see, my Andre, not the family name, the boy. But it was Nikos who occupied my thoughts in ways that terrified me. Late evenings after Andreas slept, we'd talk. In his study that smelled of leather and ouzo and cigar smoke, sweet and dark about everything, philosophy, books, his dreams for Andreas, my abandoned dreams of teaching. He'd pour ouzo into small glasses. The anise scent would fill the room, licorice sweet. We'd add water and watch it turn cloudy white. Magic. Why did you stop? He asked one night, sliding his convoloi through his fingers, blue beads clicking softly. He always had them now. An old habit, returning. His grandfather's, Maria had told me. Money. David's salary wasn't enough for both of us, in school. So I worked. Told myself I'd go back. Never did. And David? He didn't fight for your dreams? I looked into my coffee grounds, the kind Greek women rid fortunes in. The cup was still warm in my hands. David doesn't fight for anything. He just exists. Nikos's expression darkened. The beads stopped clicking. A man who doesn't fight for his wife doesn't deserve her. The statement hung between us. Dangerous and electric. It started small. David's late nights increased. 3 times a week became 5. His phone face down on tables. Quick showers the moment he got home. The classic signs I'd been too tired or too indifferent to notice. One Tuesday evening, I found perfume on his collar. Not mine. Something floral, cheap. The smell hit me when I went to kiss his cheek. Gardenia. Synthetic. I should have felt devastated. Betrayed. Angry. Instead, I felt relieved. Because it meant I wasn't the bad person for what I was feeling about Nikos. The next evening, Nikos mentioned it casually. Too casually. We were in the garden. Andreas playing near the koi pond. The evening air smelled like jasmine and chlorine from the pool. I was at Taverna Kyklidis in Astoria last night. Business dinner, with shipping partners. He adjusted his convoloi worry beads, sliding blue glass between fingers. Click, click. Saw someone who looked like your husband. With a woman. Probably wasn't him. My stomach dropped. What time? Around 9. Table, near the back. Again, probably wasn't him. But the man had an accounting firm logo on his briefcase. David's firm. David, who'd texted me at 8:45 saying he was working late. At the office. Nikos watched me process this, his expression carefully neutral. The beads kept moving. Steady rhythm. I could be wrong. But he wasn't wrong. And we both knew it. Why tell me? My voice barely worked. Because you deserve the truth. Even when it hurts. That night, I checked David's credit card statements. Online. Passwords we'd once shared. Because we trusted each other. Taverna Kyklidis. 3 charges in the past month. Argo restaurant. 5 times. A hotel in Long Island City. Twice. All on nights he'd said he was working late. I confronted David, the next morning. Calmly. With printouts that smelled like printer ink. Chemical. The paper still warm from the machine. Is there something you want to tell me? He glanced at the papers. Paled. Elena, it's not what? Not what it looks like? I was surprised by how calm I sounded. Like I was watching myself from outside my body. Hotel charges, David. Restaurant receipts. On nights you said you were at the office. It's complicated. Then uncomplicated. Silence. Long, damning silence. The apartment smelled like burnt coffee. I'd forgotten the pot on the warmer. Acrid. Bitter. Her name's Rebecca. From accounting. It's been 6 months. 6 months. While I worked 2 jobs. While I cleaned toilets at a school for rich kids. While I made our tiny apartment a home he barely noticed. Are you in love with her? He couldn't meet my eyes. I don't know. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just packed a bag. My hands shook as I folded clothes. They smelled like our cheap detergent. Lavender. Fake. Where are you going? David asked, finally showing emotion. Panic. Not love. Just fear of consequences. I don't know. Away from you. Elena, we can work through this. Counseling. Whatever you want. What I want. I wanted a partner. Someone who saw me. You haven't really seen me in years. I called Nikos from the street corner. Hands shaking. The city smelled like garbage day and car exhaust. He answered immediately. Elena? What's wrong? You were right. About David. About everything. My voice finally broke. I don't know what I need. Where are you? I told him. Stay there. I'm sending Stavros. I can't impose. You're not imposing. You're coming home. Home. The word shouldn't have felt right, but it did. Stavros drove me to Forest Hills in silence, respectful, giving me space. The car smelled like leather and air freshener. Pine. Clean. Nikos met me at the door. Still in shirt sleeves from work, tie loosened. He smelled like the office coffee and paper, and that cedar cologne. He took one look at my face and pulled me inside. Andreas is at his grandmother's, he said quietly. You don't need to hold it together. That's when I finally broke. Sobbed against his chest while he held me, strong hands steady on my back. His shirt smelled like starch, and him, he whispered in Greek, words I didn't understand but felt in my bones. Soft, soothing, the language rolling like music. When I finally pulled away, embarrassed, he handed me a glass of ouzo. Drink. It helps. It burned, going down. Licorice fire. I drank it anyway. I'm sorry. I managed. This is wildly inappropriate. Stop. Firm but gentle. You have nothing to apologize for. I don't know what to do. Then let me help you decide. He sat across from me, those Aegean blue eyes holding mine. The komboloi appeared in his hand again. Click. Click. An unconscious gesture. Stay here, in the guest wing. For as long as you need, work with Andreas. Let yourself heal. I can't accept. Yes, you can. You've given my son something priceless. Let me give you shelter in return. People will talk. Let them. I don't care about people. I care about. He stopped. Redirected. The beads clicked faster. I care that you're safe, that you're cared for, the way you should have been all along. I should have said no. Should have found a friend's couch. Should have maintained professional boundaries. Instead, I whispered, okay. His expression shifted. Relief. Satisfaction. Something more dangerous. The beads stopped clicking. I'll have Maria prepare the East Wing suite. Tomorrow, we'll discuss practical matters. Divorce lawyers. Financial separation. Whatever you need. Why are you doing this? He leaned forward. Close enough. I could smell his cologne. Cedar and sea. Close enough to see the silver threading through his dark hair. Because from the moment I saw you defend my son, I knew you were someone worth protecting. Worth. He paused, worth keeping close. The air between us crackled with everything unsaid. I should pull away. I didn't. The East Wing suite was larger than my entire apartment. King bed with Egyptian cotton sheets that smelled like lavender and starch. Expensive. Real. Marble bathroom. Windows overlooking gardens, lit by landscape lighting. Maria had left fresh towels that smelled like fabric softener and sunshine. Greek pastries on a plate, baklava, kataifi, loukoumades dripping with honey. The scent filled the room. Sweet, cinnamon, home, and a note in careful English, welcome home. I sat on the bed and called David. Elena, thank God. Where are you? Somewhere safe. I'm not coming back. Not yet. Maybe not ever. We need to talk about this. We will. With lawyers. I'll text you when I'm ready. I hung up, blocked his number. Then I stood at the window, looking at gardens that cost more to maintain than I earned in a year, smelling jasmine on the night air, and wondered what I'd just done. Nikos appeared in the doorway. He'd changed. Jeans, t-shirt, the most casual I'd ever seen him. He looked younger. Human. Everything okay? I left my husband. Moved into my employer's house. Nothing about this is okay. No. He stepped inside. Closer. He smelled like soap now. Clean. Simple. But sometimes not okay is better than slowly dying in okay. He understood. Somehow, he understood exactly. Thank you, I whispered. Don't thank me yet, Elena. His voice dropped. The komboloi was in his hand again. Unconscious. The beads slid through his fingers. Having you under my roof, close every day. He shook his head. I'm not as noble as I should be. Heat flooded through me. Dangerous. Reckless. Real. And maybe, I heard myself say, nobility is overrated. His eyes darkened. The beads stopped moving. Go to bed, Elena. Before I forget, we're both supposed to be better than this. He left, closed the door softly. I touched my lips, heart racing, knowing everything had changed. The room smelled like honey and jasmine, and possibility, and knowing I wanted it too. The first week living in Nikos's house, I tried to maintain boundaries. Failed spectacularly. Andreas was thrilled. You're here every morning. Can we have breakfast together? Can you make pancakes like you promised? So mornings became a ritual. The three of us in the breakfast room that overlooked rose gardens. The morning sun would stream through windows, catching dust motes. The room smelled like Greek coffee, bitter and strong, and whatever Maria was baking, usually terrapita, cheese pastries that left butter on your fingers. Andreas would chatter about school, his kombuloy on the table beside his orange juice, blue beads catching sunlight. Click when he got excited and grabbed them. Nikos would read Greek newspapers, occasionally translating headlines that made him laugh. His voice was different in the morning, rougher, unguarded. He'd wrap both hands around his coffee cup like he was cold, even in summer. Me, trying not to notice how domestic this felt. How right. Maria watched us with knowing eyes, like family, she'd say in Greek to the other staff. Not realizing I'd started learning the language from Andreas, her voice would carry from the kitchen, warm, approving, the smell of baking bread following her words. Yaya Eleni was more direct. About time that boy had a mother again. She said it to my face, in English, daring me to disagree. Her hands smelled like the lemon cookies she was always making, karabitas dusted with powdered sugar. But it was the evenings that undid me. After Andreas slept, Nikos and I would end up in his study, or the library, or the garden terrace under string lights, drinking wine, talking about everything. The terrace smelled different each night. Jasmine when it was warm, rosemary when it rained, chlorine from the pool mixed with night-blooming flowers. The wine tasted like cherries and oak. Iserdico, he told me, from Santorini. Tell me about Sophia, I asked one night, emboldened by wine that made my tongue loose and my inhibitions quiet. His expression shuddered briefly, then softened. His kombuloy appeared. Always did when he talked about difficult things. The beads were warm from his pocket, worn smooth. She was fire, passionate, fearless, completely impractical. A sad smile. I was 25, trying to prove myself worthy of running the family business. She was an artist, painted these wild, beautiful pieces. We had 3 years together. Andreas looks like her. He has her eyes, her soul. He poured more wine. The bottle clinked against the glass. But he has my stubbornness. Tragic combination. How did she die? Car accident. Drunk driver. She was coming home from an art exhibition in Manhattan. His jaw tightened. The beads clicked faster. The driver had 3 prior DUIs. Money kept him out of jail. Until he killed my wife. I'm so sorry. I made sure he faced consequences. Real ones. The way he said it sent chills down my spine. The beads stopped. His hand clenched around them. A reminder of who he was. What he was capable of. Does that scare you? He asked, reading my expression. Should it? Yes. Honest. The night air was cool now. I could smell rain coming. Petrichor. I'm not a good man, Elena. I've done things. He shook his head. Things that would horrify you. Try me. He told me some of it. The sanitized version, probably. The shipping empire that wasn't just shipping. The restaurants that laundered money. The business associates who were actually lieutenants in a criminal organization. We'd moved inside. His study. The leather chair creaked when he sat. The room smelled like cigar smoke and old books. And his cologne. Everything that was him. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know who you're living with. What you're part of by being here. And if I want to leave? His expression went carefully blank. The kombuloy stilled in his hand. I'd let you go. I'd hate it. But I'd let you. I should have been terrified. Should have packed immediately. Instead, I asked, what's the family business really? He studied me for a long moment. Portuzo. The anise smell filled the space between us. Import-export, legitimate businesses, and other operations, gambling, Loan services. We protect Greek-owned businesses in Queens and Manhattan from exploitation for a fee. Protection rackets. We prefer security consulting. A dark smile. But yes. And the rival families Andreas mentioned? The Turks. Old grudges from the old country that never die. They've been encroaching on territory in Astoria, testing boundaries. He stood, walked to the window, looked out at gardens dark, except for landscape lighting. Cyprus, 1974. My grandfather killed a Demir patriarch during the conflict. Some blood feuds never die. Is that why Andreas has security at school? Yes. And now why you do too? I blinked. What? Stavros follows you. Always. I'm not taking risks with people He stopped. The beads clicked. Once. Twice. With people under my protection. The next evening, I found divorce papers on my bed. Not from David. From Nikos's lawyers. The papers smelled like a law office. That particular scent of expensive stationery and toner. A note in his handwriting, bold, decisive strokes. No charge, no obligation, just option. I stared at those papers, feeling the weight of choice, of possibility. That night, Andreas had a nightmare. Screaming for his mother. I reached him first, gathering him into my arms, while he sobbed in Greek and English. His small body was hot, sweaty from fear. The bad men. They hurt Mama. They're coming back. Nikos appeared, moments later, taking over with practiced ease. His hair was messy from sleep. He wore just pajama pants. I'd never seen him like this. Vulnerable, human. But Andreas grabbed my hand. Don't go, Thea Elena. Stay. So I stayed, sat in a chair beside his bed while Nikos lay next to his son, speaking soft Greek lullabies, until Andreas drifted back to sleep. His voice was beautiful in Greek, musical, the words I didn't understand, but felt anyway. The room smelled like the lavender sachets Maria put in all the bedrooms. Calming. Soft. We ended up in the hallway. 2 in the morning. Both exhausted. Thank you, Nico said. He doesn't let people see him like that. He trusts me. Yes, he does. He looked at me with such intensity I forgot to breathe. And so do I. Which is, he ran a hand through his hair. Still messy. Made him look younger. Terrifying. Why? Because trust, for me, is rarer than you can imagine. And you, Elena. He stepped closer. I could smell toothpaste on his breath. Mint. And underneath, him. You make me want things I have no right wanting. We stood in that hallway, inches apart. His hand came up, touching my face with gentle fingers that trembled slightly. His palm was warm, calloused. The hall was dark, except for a nightlight. I could hear the house settling, creaking. The hum of air conditioning. Tell me to stop, he whispered. I couldn't speak. His thumb traced my bottom lip. I tasted salt from his skin. Tell me this is wrong. That we're moving too fast. That you're still married. I don't want. His controls snapped. The kiss was devastating. Years of loneliness and longing poured into that moment. His hands in my hair, fingers tangling, gentle but desperate. Mine fisting in his t-shirt. Soft cotton, warm from his body. Backs hitting walls, the cool plaster against my shoulders. His body pressed against mine. Solid, warm, real. He tasted like toothpaste and want, desperation, and need. Baba? We sprang apart, like teenagers caught. Andreas stood in his doorway, rubbing sleep from his eyes. His comboloid dangling from one hand. Everything okay, buddy? Nikos's voice remarkably steady. Heard voices. Are you fighting? No, kiddo. Just talking. Go back to bed. Andreas padded back inside. We stood there, breathing hard, the spell broken, but not forgotten. My lips felt swollen. I could still taste him. Elena, Nikos started. His voice was rough. Don't apologize. Don't say it was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. That's the problem. He stepped back, putting necessary distance between us. His hands clenched, released. You're still married. Still processing. And I'm not a patient man, Elena. But for you, I have to be. The next morning, David showed up. Security stopped him at the gate, but I saw him on the monitors in the kitchen, looking small and lost, and too late. The kitchen smelled like Maria's morning baking, kaluri, sesame bread rings. The normalcy of it was jarring against David on the screen. Want me to send him away? Nikos asked, voice tight with barely controlled aggression. His hand wrapped around his coffee cup, knuckles white. No, I should talk to him. We met in the gardens, neutral territory. The morning was cool. Dew still on the grass. It smelled like cut grass and roses, and that particular scent of early summer. Birds singing. Too cheerful for this conversation. Elena, please. Come home. We can fix this. Why? Because you feel guilty. Because Rebecca didn't work out. He had the grace to flinch. Because I love you. No, David. You love the idea of me. The wife who's always there, never complains, makes your life easy. You don't love me. And he does? David gestured toward the house, where Nikos watched from a window. I could see his silhouette. Tall. Still. The criminal. You're going to throw away 8 years for a gangster? I'm not throwing it away for anyone. I'm choosing myself, maybe for the first time ever. He'll get you killed, Elena. Or arrested. Is that what you want? I thought about that. Really thought about it. The garden smelled so alive. Jasmine and rosemary and possibility. I want to feel alive, I said finally. Even if it's dangerous, even if it's wrong. I spent 8 years being safe with you. Being invisible. I'm done being invisible. David left. Signed the papers. Nikos's lawyers provided. Disappeared from my life with surprising ease. That night, Nikos found me crying in the library. The room smelled like old books and leather. Comforting. Safe. Second thoughts? No. Relief. And guilt about feeling relieved. He sat beside me. Close. I could smell his cologne, cedar and salt. The scent that meant him. His comboloi was in his hand. He offered it to me. Warm beads, smooth. I took it, slid the beads. Click, click. Soothing. Your marriage was over long before you met me. I just helped you see it. Did you? I turned to him, handed back the beads. Our fingers touched. Orchestrate. David's discovery. The restaurant? The hints? His silence was answer enough. I had him followed. He admitted, confirmed what I suspected. And yes, I made sure you'd find out. So you manipulated me. I gave you information you deserved. What you did with it was your choice. Was it? Or did you just control the situation so I'd end up here? Dependent on you? Grateful? He stood, anger flashing. The beads clicked faster. Agitated. Is that what you think? That I'm controlling you? I don't know what to think anymore. I stood too, fury matching his. You investigate my husband. Drop hints. Offer me shelter. Kiss me. All while I'm vulnerable and confused and what? Incapable of making your own decisions. Give yourself more credit. I gave myself a lot of credit. Before I started doubting every choice, because maybe you engineered it. I didn't create your husband's infidelity, Elena. I just made sure you knew about it. Would you rather have stayed ignorant? Slowly dying in that tiny apartment with a man who didn't see you. Maybe that should have been my choice to make. It was. You chose to investigate. You chose to confront him. You chose to leave. I just provided information. And shelter. And lawyers. And I gestured helplessly. This. Whatever this is. What this is, he said, voice dropping dangerously low, is me falling for a woman I have no right wanting. While trying very hard not to cross lines. While respecting your space. While manipulating my life. While giving you options, he shouted it. Rare loss of control. The beads flew from his hand. Clattered on the floor. Blue glass scattering. You had none with him. Now you have choices. Stay or leave. Sign divorce papers or don't. Be with me or walk away. But don't accuse me of taking your agency when all I've done is try to give it back. Silence. Heavy. Charged. Neither of us moving. The scattered beads lay between us. His grandfather's comboloi. Broken string. I'd never seen him without them. I need time, I finally said. To think. Without you in my space. Where will you go? I don't know. But not here. Not yet. His jaw tightened. He crouched, started gathering beads. His hands shook slightly. I'll have Stavros drive you anywhere you want. I'll call a cab. Elena, I need space. Nikos, can you give me that? Or will you accidentally control that too? I saw the hit land. Saw the hurt flash across his face before he locked it down. He stood, beads in his palm. No string to hold them. I can give you space, but I can't give you safety if you're not under my protection. Maybe I don't want your protection. Then you're a fool, said flatly. There are people who would use you to hurt me. Now that you've been here, been seen with us. You're a target. How convenient. It's not convenience. It's reality. He grabbed my shoulders. Gentle but firm. I could feel the warmth of his hands through my shirt. Hate me if you want. Be angry. But don't be stupid. Let Stavros drive you. Let him watch from a distance. Please. The please broke something in me. Fine. But that's all. He released me. Stepped back. Looked at the beads in his hand. Lost. That's all. I left that night. Stayed with my friend Sarah, who asked too many questions. I couldn't answer. The guest room smelled like her cat and air freshener. Fake flowers, chemical, and hated how much I missed him already. Missed the smell of his study. The click of the beads. The way he said my name. I lasted 4 days at Sarah's apartment in Brooklyn. 4 days of pretending I was fine. Of ignoring the security SUV parked across the street. Of not checking my phone every 5 minutes to see if Nikos had called. He hadn't, respecting my space, apparently. Even when it killed him, Sarah's apartment smelled like cat litter and takeout. Chinese food cartons in the trash. Stale. I couldn't eat. On day 5, Andreas called, his voice small and scared. Thea, Elena. Bubba won't tell me why you left. Did I do something wrong? My heart shattered. No, honey. Never. This is grown-up stuff. It has nothing to do with you. Will you come back? I don't know yet. Please. Baba is sad. He pretends he's not, but I can tell, and I miss you. We were supposed to finish the Odyssey. I could hear him crying, soft, trying to hide it. Guilt crushed me. Andrea. Thea. I have to go. Baba's calling. But please come back. He hung up. I stared at my phone, tears streaming, when it rang again. Unknown number. Hello? Mrs. Torres? A woman's voice, accented, not Greek, Turkish, maybe, or should I say, Mrs. Stavros. You've been living there quite comfortably. I understand. Ice flooded my veins. Who is this? Someone who knows where you are, where you work, where your friend Sarah's apartment is. 3C. Yes. Nice place. Shame if something happened to it. I could hear her smoking. The inhale, exhale, casual threat. What do you want? Tell Nikos Stavros that the Demir family remembers, Cyprus remembers, and his son. Such a sweet boy would look better with Turkish colors around his neck. The line went dead. I called Stavros immediately, hands shaking so hard I could barely dial. Mrs. Elena? He answered instantly. What's wrong? Someone just called, threatened Andreas. Mentioned the Demir family. Turkish. Stay exactly where you are. Don't move. Don't open the door for anyone. I'm 3 minutes out. He was there in 2. Stavros took me straight to Nikos's office. Not the house. His actual office in a nondescript building in Astoria, above a Greek restaurant. The stairwell smelled like grilled octopus and lemon. Garlic. The restaurant below doing lunch service. The moment I walked in, I understood this was the real nerve center. Men in expensive suits. Computer monitors showing security feeds. The smell of gun oil and strong coffee. Turkish tobacco from someone's cigarette. Nikos stood at a conference table with 6 other men. Maps of Queens spread before them. He looked up when I entered. The relief on his face was visceral. Elena. Then he saw my expression. What happened? I told him. Every word of the call, watching his face transform from concern to cold fury. His hand went to his pocket. The beads. I realized he'd restrung them. The familiar gesture, but his movements were sharp now. Angry. Yorgos, he said to one of the men. a massive Greek with scarred knuckles. Get Andreas. Bring him to the safe house. No one gets within 100 yards of that boy. No one. On it, boss. To another. Find out how they got her number. Someone leaked information. I want to know who. The men scattered. Efficient. Deadly. Mikos crossed to me. Cupped my face. His hands smelled like ink and paper. Are you hurt? No, just scared. They knew where I was. They knew about Sarah's apartment. 'Cause I've been protecting you. And they've been watching. His jaw tightened. The beads clicked. Fast. Angry rhythm. This is my fault. I should have kept you closer. Should have. Nikos. What's happening? He explained while his men worked around us. We sat. He poured coffee. Turkish style. Thick. Sweet. The smell filled his office. Cardamom and sugar. The Demir family. Turkish organized crime. Old grudges from Cyprus in the 1970s when Greeks and Turks fought over the island. Nikos's grandfather had killed a Demir patriarch. Now, 40 years later, they wanted revenge. They've been testing boundaries for months, taking territory, threatening our businesses. But going after Andreas, his control was fracturing. The coffee cup shook slightly in his hand. That's a declaration of war. Why now? Because they think I'm distracted. His eyes met mine. Because they think you make me weak. The weight of that settled on me. I do make you weak. No. Fierce. He grabbed my hand. His palm was warm. Calloused. You make me want to build instead of destroy. That's different. He stopped. That's exactly what they're counting on. One of the men called from a computer. Boss. Found the leak. Junior associate at your lawyer's office. Demir family paid him 20 grand for information on Elena Torres. Phone records, address, work schedule. Nikos's expression went arctic. The beads stopped. Handle it. The casual violence in those two words terrified me. What does that mean? It means he won't leak again. He grabbed his jacket. It smelled like dry cleaning. Chemical, fresh. Elena, I need to get Andreas. I need to secure our position. And I need you somewhere safe. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. Andreas is scared. He called me. He asked me to come back. I'm coming. We fought about it for 30 seconds before he realized. I wouldn't budge. Fine. But you stay in the car. You don't argue. You don't try to help. Understood. I nodded. The drive to the house was tense. 3 SUVs. Armed men. Nikos, on his phone, speaking rapid Greek. Giving orders. His cologne mixed with adrenaline. Sharp. Metallic. We arrived to chaos. Black cars blocking the street. Men with guns creating a perimeter. Neighbors peeking from windows. Scared. The smell of car exhaust. Burnt rubber. Someone had arrived fast. Stay in the car. Mikos repeated. Lock the doors. He disappeared inside with Stavros and 4 others. I sat there, heart pounding, watching through tinted windows at gunfire, sharp, loud, coming from inside the house. My blood turned to ice. More shots, shouting in Greek and Turkish. Breaking glass. Andreas? I didn't think. Just reacted, unlocked the door, ran toward the house. Security tried to stop me. Mrs. Elena. No, but I was already through the front entrance. The foyer was a war zone. 2 men down, blood on marble floors, dark, spreading, the smell of copper and gunpowder. Maria screaming from somewhere. Yaya Eleni shouting curses in Greek. And Andreas, at the top of the stairs, frozen, crying, his komboloi clutched in his hand. Alone. Andreas. I screamed. He saw me, started running toward me. A man appeared behind him. Turkish, gun raised. Time slowed. I launched myself up the stairs, grabbed Andreas. His body was small, warm, trembling. Shielded him with my body as the gun went off. Pain exploded in my shoulder. Hot, searing. The smell of my own blood. We tumbled downstairs together, Andreas screaming. Me trying to keep him covered, the world spinning. Marble, hard against my back. We hit the landing. Then Nikos was there, his gun firing 3 times. Sharp cracks. Smoke smell. The Turkish man drop. Elena. Mikos's hands on me. On Andreas. Checking for injuries. His hands were shaking. Where are you hit? Shoulder. I'm fine. Check Andreas. But he was checking me. Ripping my shirt to see the wound. His face pale. Cursing in Greek. You're not fine. I'm fine. Is Andreas hurt? We both looked at the boy. Covered in my blood, warm, sticky. The smell everywhere. Traumatized. But physically unharmed. His komboloi still in his hand. Blue beads. Red now. I'm okay, Andreas whispered. The Elena saved me. Nikos pulled us both against him. Shaking. His heart pounding against my ear. He smelled like gunpowder. And fear and that cedar cologne. You stupid, brave, idiotic woman. I told you to stay in the car. You're welcome. He laughed. Halfway to a sob. Get them out. He ordered Stavros. Now, safe house. No one follows. Boss, you're bleeding too. I'm fine. Go. The safe house was a fortified apartment in Manhattan. Medical supplies. Armed guards. Complete lockdown. It smelled like antiseptic. Sterile. Wrong. A doctor. On payroll. Clearly stitched my shoulder while Andreas held my good hand. The needle pinched. Thread pulling through skin. I focused on Andreas's hand. Small. Warm. 16 stitches, the doctor said. You're lucky. 2 inches to the right, and it would have hit your lung. Lucky. Andreas refused to leave my side. Even after Nikos arrived 2 hours later, blood on his clothes. Not his. Exhaustion etched in every line of his face. He smelled like smoke and copper. The Demir family has been dealt with, he said quietly. Their leadership. Their enforcers. They won't threaten us again. The way he said it made clear what dealt with meant. I should have been horrified. Instead, I just felt tired. And clear. Terribly clear. Andreas, Nikos said gently. Go with Maria to the other room. Yothea and I need to talk. The boy hesitated, then obeyed, looking back at me with worried eyes. His komboloi cleaned now, clicking in his hand. Once alone, Nikos sat across from me, careful not to touch. The room smelled like coffee. Someone had made. Turkish, strong. You almost died. I know, because I brought you into this world. Made you a target. Put you in danger. I chose to run inside. You told me not to. You wouldn't have had to choose if I'd kept you away from the beginning. His voice broke. If I'd been stronger. If I hadn't been selfish. This was it. The conversation I'd been dreading. Nikos, I need to tell you something. About David. About your marriage. My stomach dropped. I didn't just have him followed Elena. I accelerated things. What does that mean? He couldn't meet my eyes. His hands twisted. No beads now. Nothing to hold. The woman. Rebecca. I had my people arrange situations. Make sure they worked late together. Dinners that seemed coincidental. I created opportunities for him to make that choice. The room tilted. You set him up. The affair was real. His feelings were real. He made those choices. But I nudged circumstances. Made it easier for him to betray you. So you'd be free. Free? I stood, despite the pain screaming through my shoulder. So I'd be free? So you'd see what I saw. That he didn't deserve you. That you deserved. You? Fury burned through shock. I deserved you? The man who manipulated my entire life? Who played puppet master with my marriage? Elena, was anything real? Our conversations? Your interest in me? Or was it all just part of some plan to acquire the naive cleaning lady? Don't. Steel in his voice now. Don't diminish what I feel. What we have. What we have is built on lies, I was shouting. Andreas probably heard through the walls. I didn't care. You didn't give me choices. Nikos, you manufactured outcomes. Moved pieces on a board until I ended up exactly where you wanted me. Where you belong. No, where you wanted me. There's a difference. He stood too. Towering. Angry. Your husband was cheating. That was his choice. I just made sure you found out sooner rather than later. That wasn't your call to make. Would you rather have stayed? Wasted more years with a man who didn't love you? I'd rather have made my own decisions without your interference. Tears now, hot and furious. The smell, salt and pain. I thought. I thought I was finally choosing myself. But I was just choosing the path you cleared for me. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed. You want to talk about fair? You almost got me killed today. You did get me shot. Because I'm connected to you. Because I'm a weakness they can exploit. You're not a weakness. Then what am I, Nikos? Really? What was this to you? Silent. Long. Devastating silence. The room smelled like blood and coffee and everything ending. I love you, he finally said. Raw. Broken. I've loved you since the moment you defended my son, without hesitation. Since you looked at me and saw a man, not a monster. Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop. Elena, I need you to leave. Now. I can't look at you right now. Pain flashed across his face. Where will you go? I don't know. But not with you. Not anymore. The threats are because of you. So maybe I'm safer away from you. That landed like a knife. I saw it hit. Saw him accept it. I'll have Stavros drive you anywhere. Keep security on you from a distance. But Elena, he moved toward the door. Stopped. This doesn't change what I feel, or what we had. We didn't have anything. We had your manipulation and my desperation. That's not love. That's not. My voice broke. That's not what I deserve. He left without another word. Andreas appeared in the doorway moments later. Thea, Elena, are you leaving? I gathered him into my arms. Careful of my shoulder. He smelled like soap, and childhood, and grief. I have to, honey. For a while. Because of Baba? Too smart. Always too smart. It's complicated. He loves you. He's not good at saying it. But he does. I know. But love isn't always enough. Will you come back? Someday? I kissed his forehead. Tasted the salt of his tears. I don't know. That night, Stavros drove me to Sarah's apartment. Silent. Disapproving. But professional. The car smelled like leather and regret. He's not a bad man, Stavros said, as I got out. He's just willing to do bad things for people he loves. That doesn't make it okay. No, but it makes it real. I went upstairs, locked the door, and finally let myself fall apart. The apartment smelled wrong. Chemical. Fake. Not home. Because I'd just walked away from the only man who'd ever made me feel truly alive. Even if he'd manipulated every step that brought us together. Even if I couldn't forgive that. Even if I still loved him anyway. 3 weeks passed, like sleepwalking. I went back to cleaning at Hellenic Academy. Different shifts, different hallways. Avoiding everywhere I might see Andreas. The school smelled the same. Lemon cleaner. Floor wax. But it felt different now. Empty. Mrs. Papadopoulos tried to talk to me once. Elena, Mr. Stavros asked about you. His son asks every day. I can't, I interrupted. Please, I just can't. She nodded, respected my space. But I saw pity in her eyes. The black SUV still followed me. Discreet, a block away. Nikos's protection. I couldn't refuse, because Stavros was right. The threats were real even if the Demir leadership was gone. David tried calling. Wanted to talk about reconciliation. I blocked his number. That bridge was burned beyond recognition. At night, alone in Sarah's guest room, I replayed everything. The conversations, the touches, the kiss in the hallway, the way he said my name, the click of the comaloy, the smell of his cologne, cedar and salt, real or manufactured, my feelings or his manipulation. I couldn't untangle truth from orchestration. The room smelled like Sarah's cat and Febreze, fake lavender. Not the real jasmine from the garden. Not the baklava Maria made. Not home, and hated myself for still missing him. Week 4. Maria showed up at Sarah's door, carrying a casserole dish of pastisseau and determination. The smell hit me first. Cinnamon and meat and bechamel. Home. I almost cried, right there. You're going to listen, she said in her thick accent, pushing past me. Then you do what you want. But first, listen. She made Greek coffee. The traditional way. Ground settling in the bottom, like sediment of truth. The bitter smell filled Sarah's tiny kitchen. Real, honest. Mr. Nikos is not sleeping, not eating, works 20 hours a day. Dangerous when a man like him stops caring about living. That's not my problem. And Andreas? He asks every single day, when is Thea Elena coming home? Why did she leave? Did I make her angry? She pulled something from her purse. Andreas's convoloi. The blue and white beads. He won't use these anymore. Says they remind him of you. Of before. The beads were warm from her pocket. Worn smooth. I could almost feel Andreas's small fingers on them. Click. Guilt stabbed through me. I told him it wasn't about him. Children don't believe words. They believe presence. Maria sipped her coffee. The cup clinked against the saucer. You think Mr. Nikos manipulated you? Yes. He admitted it. Yes. He did bad thing. He pushed. He arranged. But Elena, she leaned forward. I could smell her perfume. Rose water. Like Yaya. The affair was real. Your husband's choice was real. Mr. Nikos didn't make that man betray you. He just made sure you knew. That's still manipulation. Of course is manipulation. He's Greek man in love. We're not subtle. We don't wait patiently while woman suffers with bad husband. She shook her head. You want to know what I think? I think you're angry because he saw the truth you were too scared to face. The words hit like a slap. That's not. You knew. Deep down. That marriage was dead. That husband didn't love you. But was easier to pretend, yes. Till Mr. Nikos forced you to see. He had no right. No. He didn't. Maria's expression softened. But sometimes love makes us wrong. Makes us push too hard. Protect too much. Interfere when we shouldn't. Is not excuse. But is explanation. She left me with the past now. Still warm, smelling like everything I'd lost. And Andreas's convoloi. I held the beads all night. Sliding them through my fingers. Click, click. The sound Andreas made when he was nervous. The sound Nikos made when he was thinking. The beads smelled like both of them somehow. 2 days later, Yuria Eleni appeared. Somehow even more formidable at 79 than her grandson at 40. She smelled like lemon cookies and rose water and old country strength. You girl. We talk. She didn't wait for permission. Just commandeered Sarah's tiny living room like she owned it. Sat in the good chair. Made it look like a throne. My grandson is idiot, she said in surprisingly good English. All Stavros men are idiots, think they know best. Think protecting means controlling. I blinked. Not what I expected. But she held up a gnarled finger. Her skin smelled like olive oil soap. He loves you. Real love. The kind that makes men stupid. The kind that makes them do wrong things for right reasons. That doesn't make it okay. Of course not. Okay. Is terrible. Is manipulation. She leaned forward on her cane. The wood creaked. But you love him too, yes? I couldn't lie to this woman. Yes. Then question is, can you forgive? Can he learn? Can you both be better together than you are angry and apart? I don't know. You know, she tapped my chest, right over my heart. Her finger was bony, strong. In here, you know, you're just scared. Scared of being hurt again. Scared of trusting. Scared of wanting something that feels too good to be real. Tears spilled over. What if I forgive him and he does it again? What if you don't, and you live half a life wondering what if? She stood, bones creaking. I'm old. I know one thing for sure. Regret is heavier than risk. She left something on the table. Wrapped in cloth that smelled like cedar. Nikos's. Komboloi. The adult ones. His grandfather's. Restrung. Blue glass beads catching light. He carries these every day since he was 15, she said. Since his grandfather died. Never without them, until you left. Now he says they bring bad luck. She touched my face. Her palm was soft, papery. He's punishing himself. Greek men, always with the drama. That evening, Stavros delivered an envelope. Hand-addressed in a child's careful script. The paper smelled like the house. Jasmine and lemon polish and home. Inside, a letter from Andrea. Dear Thea Elena, Baba says I shouldn't bother you. That you need space. But I miss you, and I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for protecting me. You got hurt because of me, and I'm sorry. Baba says you left because he made mistakes. He won't tell me what mistakes, but he cries at night. I hear him. He thinks I'm asleep, but I hear him. He says you're the bravest person he knows, that you make him want to be better. I think you're brave too, and kind, and I wish you were still here. I love you, The Elena. Even if you don't come back. You're Andreas. P.S. Baba. Finished reading The Odyssey to me. Odysseus finally made it home, but it took him 20 years because he was stubborn and proud. Baba says, maybe we're all a little like Odysseus sometimes. The paper smelled like Andreas, soap and pencil erasers, and childhood. I read that letter 17 times. Then I made a decision. The next morning, I called Nikos's office. My hands shook. I held his convoloi. Click, click, steadying. The secretary sounded shocked. Mrs. Torres. Mr. Stavros has been hold, please. 30 seconds later, Elena. His voice rough, exhausted, desperate. Like he'd been awake for days. We need to talk. Somewhere neutral. Anywhere. When? The park near Ditmars. 1 hour. I'll be there. I hung up before I could change my mind. Sarah caught me at the door. You sure about this? No, but I can't keep living in this limbo. What are you going to say? I have no idea. But I knew one thing. Maria was right. Yaya was right. Even Andreas somehow was right. I couldn't let fear make my decisions anymore. Even if the choice terrified me. Even if I might get hurt again. I looked at the 2 sets of convoloi in my hands. Andreas's small blue and white beads. Nikos's grandfather's deep blue glass. The beads felt warm, heavy with history and hope. Because living half a life to avoid pain wasn't living at all. And maybe, just maybe, love was worth the risk of being wrong. Nikos was already there when I arrived, sitting on a bench under bare November trees, wearing a coat I'd never seen. Casual. Human. Not the Mafia boss in $1,000 suits. He stood when he saw me, uncertain. A man used to commanding rooms, now afraid to move wrong. He looked terrible, thinner, dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't slept in weeks. Elena, sit, please. We sat, 2 feet between us. A chasm that felt like miles. The park smelled like fallen leaves and cold air. Clean. Honest, Andreas wrote to me. I said. Pain flashed across his face. I told him not to bother you. It wasn't a bother. It was. I took a breath. It was exactly what I needed to hear. He misses you. We both. He stopped. I miss you. Every moment. Every breath. His hands were empty. No convoloi. I'd never seen him without them. Nikos, let me say this, please. He turned to face me fully. What I did was wrong. Not just the manipulation with David, but thinking I knew better. Thinking I could orchestrate your life because I wanted a specific outcome. That was arrogant. That was. He struggled for words. That was me being exactly what you accused me of being. A controlling bastard who couldn't trust you to make your own choices. I stayed silent. Let him continue. I told myself I was protecting you, freeing you. But really, I was protecting myself from the risk that you'd choose him or choose no one, from the possibility that if I left it to chance, I'd lose you. So you eliminated chance. Yes. Simple. Honest. And in doing so, I eliminated your agency, your power, your right to choose freely. That was, his voice cracked. That was unforgivable. Maybe. I pulled out his convoloi from my pocket. The blue glass beads caught sunlight. But everyone keeps telling me about second chances, about growth, about how love makes us stupid. His eyes fixed on the beads. Yaya. And Maria. And Andrea. My family has no sense of boundaries. Neither do you, apparently, despite everything. He smiled. Barely. No, I don't. I held out the beads. He took them. Our fingers touched. Warm. Electric. I don't know if I can trust you again, I continued. I don't know if what we had was real, or just your orchestration. It was real. Fierce. The beads slid through his fingers. Click, click. The familiar sound. Every conversation, every moment. The only thing I manufactured were circumstances. The feelings, mine, yours, those were real. How do I know that? You don't? That's the risk. The one I'm asking you to take. He reached for my hand, stopped just short. I'm asking you to trust me again. Not because I've earned it, but because I'll spend the rest of my life earning it. The November wind smelled like winter coming. Cold, clean, new beginning. If I give you another chance, I finally said, things have to be different. Anything. No more manipulating. No more orchestrating. If I make a choice you don't like, you let me make it. Even if it's a bad choice. Especially if it's a bad choice. Because it's mine to make. He nodded slowly. The beads clicked, steadying him. Okay. And therapy. Both of us. Together and separate. That surprised him. Therapy? You think you're the first controlling Greek man I've read about? There are books, studies, patterns we need to break. You've been researching. I've been healing and learning and realizing that I have my own patterns, my own blind spots. I was so busy being angry at you for manipulating me that I didn't ask why I was so easy to manipulate. Elena. No, it's true. I was desperate. For attention. For someone to see me. You did see me. And I was so starved for that. I didn't question the circumstances that brought us together. That's not your fault. It's not all your fault either. We both contributed to this. In different ways. He was quiet for a long moment. Processing. Then, therapy. Boundaries. Your choices respected. What else? Honesty. Complete honesty. Even when it's uncomfortable. Even when you think you're protecting me. I can do that. And Andreas. He needs stability. Not drama. Not chaos. If we do this, we do it right. Slowly. Building something real. I want nothing more. I took his hand then, finally, feeling the warmth, the calluses, the trembling, the convoloi pressed between our palms. Warm glass. Smooth. I'm not saying I forgive you. Not yet. Forgiveness takes time. I have time. But I'm saying I want to try. To see if we can build something real. Something honest. Relief crashed over his features. Thank you. God, Elena. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I'm going to be difficult. I'm going to question everything. I'm going to push back when you try to control things. Good. I need that. I need you to keep me honest. And if you manipulate me again, I won't. I swear on Andreas's life. On my own. On everything I have. I won't. I believed him. Or at least, I believed he believed it. That would have to be enough. One more thing, I said. Anything. I'm going back to school. Education degree. Full-time, no matter what happens with us. Pride lit his eyes. I'll pay. No, I'll pay. With loans, or scholarships, or working part-time. But my education, my way. He smiled. Real. Genuine. The first real smile I'd seen in weeks. The convoloi clicked softly in his hand. Contented rhythm. You're going to keep me on my toes, aren't you? Every single day. Good. He pulled me close. Carefully. Mindful of my healing shoulder. I could smell his cologne again. Cedar and salt. Home. I don't want easy. I want you. I let myself lean into him. Let myself feel the safety and danger of this choice. His heart beat steady under my ear. The convoloi clicked softly between us. Take me home, I whispered. Where's home? Wherever Andreas is. Wherever you are. That's home. The safe house. That's where we went. Together. Andreas flew into my arms the moment I walked in. You came back. You came back. I came back, I confirmed, holding him tight. He smelled like soap, and childhood and hope. Over his head, Nikos watched us, his family, fragile and imperfect, and real. His hand found his convoloi. Click, click. The sound of home. That night, after Andreas finally fell asleep, in his own bed this time, not clinging to either of us, his own convoloi beside his pillow, Nikos and I sat in the kitchen. The room smelled like Maria's bread. Fresh. Warm. So what now? I asked. Now we rebuild. Slowly. The way you wanted. No grand gestures? Well, he looked almost sheepish. I may have already called a therapist. Scheduled our first session for next week. I raised an eyebrow. That was fast. I'm motivated and terrified of losing you again. Good. Fear keeps you honest. He laughed. Actually laughed. The convoloi clicked happily in his hand. You're going to be impossible, aren't you? Absolutely. Perfect. He leaned in, kissed me softly. He tasted like coffee and promises. Agape mu, he whispered against my lips. My love. The Greek rolled off his tongue. Beautiful. True. Spring in Forest Hills. 6 months later, I walked through gardens now planted with herbs I'd chosen. Basil and oregano. Mint for Greek tea. The air smelled like jasmine and fresh-cut grass. And new beginnings. Andreas ran ahead, his friend Katie from school, who turned out to be the neighbor's daughter, racing him to the koi pond. His convoloi bounced in his pocket. He'd started using them again. Click, click, happy sounds now. No running near the water, I called, then added in Greek. Pros he. Be careful. My accent was getting better. Yaya still corrected me, but with pride in her eyes now. Nikos appeared behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist, his convoloi pressed against my hip. Warm glass. Constant presence. Your accent is improving. Yaya is a harsh teacher. She adores you. She tolerates me. But I smiled. Because it was true. Somehow, impossibly, I'd become part of this Greek mafia family. Therapy was hard. The conversations harder. Working through trust issues and control patterns. And my own need to be needed. But we were doing it. Together. The garden smelled like the roses Nakos had planted for me. Sophia's favorite, he'd said. Not replacing. Adding to. How was class? Nikos asked. Brutal. Early childhood development is no joke. But you love it. I do. I turned. In his arms. Looked at this man who'd turned my world upside down. He smelled like cedar and coffee. And the cinnamon cookies Maria had made this morning. I love a lot of things these days. Like strong Greek coffee, baklava, that Maria makes. Andreas's laugh. The way you read Homer in Greek, even though you know I don't understand half of it. And you, I love you, even when you're impossible. Especially when I'm impossible, he corrected, kissing me softly. His lips tasted like honey. Sweet. Real. Andreas called from the pond. Theo Elena. Baba. Come see. The orange fish had babies. We walked over together. Our hands intertwined. His convoloi clicking softly with each step. The sound of our life together. Life wasn't perfect. Nico still tried to control things sometimes. I still pushed back too hard. We still fought, still went to therapy every week. The house still smelled like lemon polish and Greek coffee, and Maria's cooking. Andreas Kukumbaloi still clicked when he was nervous. Nikos's beads still moved through his fingers when he was thinking. But it was real, messy, and complicated, and honest and real. The garden smelled like jasmine. Andreas laughed. Nikos's hand was warm in mine. And somehow, that was more beautiful than any orchestrated perfect ever could have been.